During the end times, several survivors were trapped on the roof of the building. Below are the countless zombies. Now the only way to get through the zombies is to drive to the van in the distance. Rick and Glenn decide to cover themselves in zombie blood and try to see if they can hide from their senses. Armed with weapons, they walked towards the outside of the building, mimicking the footsteps of zombies. As they approached the zombies, they were taken for their kind. Glenn was relieved that this had worked. The two prepare to get past the vehicle and head into the street. The number of zombies out there was too much. They dare not be careless. They can only move forward a little. But at this time, the sky began to thunder. On the other side of the city, outside the camp, the girl Amy said it was getting late and they should return. Originally, Glenn and the others also went out from here to look for supplies. I must mention that Rick's wife, Lori, is watching the scene of Shane and Carl getting along, and she feels very happy. This is simply a scene of father-son harmony. She and Shane have a very sweet relationship, and what needs to be done has already been done. At this time, a voice came over the radio. Dale rushed to connect. T-Dog said they were in trouble, trapped in a department store with zombies everywhere outside. Knowing their situation, some people wanted to go out to rescue them, but Shane stopped them. He was also playing a leadership role here and wouldn't allow the rest of the group to risk their lives. But he was immediately contradicted by Amy, whose sister was also inside. Shane could only tell her that this was the end time and all they could do was save their own lives. Such a philosophy naturally, others will not understand. And Rick's side also does not know how long to walk, and the zombies have long treated them as the same kind. Glenn still can't believe that this method can work. No sooner had the words left their lips than a zombie set eyes on them, but it was only a matter of seconds. But unfortunately, the rain came anyway. If this continues, the camouflage will soon be washed away by the rain. The three upstairs could only silently pray that the rainstorm would stop soon. A few minutes later, the zombies around them seemed to smell something and started to riot. All staring at Rick and Glenn, one zombie pounced on them, and Rick struck him with an axe. They had to run quickly. The zombies behind them went berserk. They had to walk to clear a path and soon came to the yard where the truck was parked. They scrambled over the fence, but the gate won't last long. Rick stayed behind to shoot for cover while Glenn opened the key box and found the keys to the truck. They didn't dare stop for a moment and quickly started the vehicle. By this time, the fence could not withstand the zombies rushing in large numbers. They had no choice but to evacuate first. When the people upstairs saw them leave, they thought Rick had left them and prayed for them to return. The car drove in the direction of the city. The passenger side of Glenn was now close to tears because Rick just gave him a task, is to lure the group of zombies behind him. Then he can go downstairs to the roll-up door to save his companion. The way to distract the zombies is to make noise. Rick then broke the glass of a car, and the burglar alarm went off. Rick started the car, and Glenn took off in the sports car. He's in charge of attracting the zombies. Then he used the walkie-talkie to contact his companions and told them to hurry to the roll-up door and wait. Several people also no longer dawdle, quickly moving downstairs. Dixon panicked and yelled at everyone not to leave him behind. T-Dog is still a bit unforgiving and finally had to turn back to prepare to uncuff him, but the accident still happened. Dixon yelled at him directly for doing it on purpose. T-Dog said a sorry and then quickly left the place, leaving Dixon hysterical and yelling. T-Dog still has some guilt and locks the door to the roof so the zombies can't get up there. The others have made their way to the roll-up door and are ready to open it quickly as soon as the car arrives. Meanwhile, Glenn drove his sports car through the streets, and the zombies' attention was successfully attracted, afraid that they run too slow. This series of operations cannot miss half a point, or the end will be quite miserable. T-Dog also ran to the first floor. The zombies had also broken into the door, leaving them little time. At this time, Rick has driven to come directly to the warehouse to the door. T-Dog ran over and shouted to hurry up. The zombies were coming from behind. Rick also knocked on the door outside. Hearing the signal, several people quickly pulled the door open into the car, and Dixon, on the roof of the building, cannot break free from the handcuffs, loudly cursing T-Dog to hell. This time the truck also towards the city outside the drive. Rick took a look at the members of the back and did not find Dixon. T-Dog blamed himself for losing the key, and several people did not say anything in silence, and no one spoke for Dixon. Glenn, however, has completely let himself go. He has never driven a sports car before. Dixon, on the roof of the building, is getting increasingly panicked because the zombies have reached the door. If T-Dog hadn't locked the door, the zombies would have eaten him, but the damn handcuffs cannot be broken free. Finally, he saw the saw in the distance. He could only use the belt to hook it over. Whether he could escape or not could only be left to fate. The campsite had spotted the sports car, and the sirens kept going off. In the end, Shane pulled off a wire to stop it. Glenn told the crowd that everyone was alive and they were on their way. Just as he finished speaking, the van pulled in. The first thing they did was hug their loved ones. It was a trip back from the dead. Carl is thinking about his dad again as he watches the others reunite. Shane asked how they got out, and Glenn said a new guy helped us. Rick came out of the car, and Shane was shocked to see him. Rick was even more in disbelief. Lori and Carl also turned their heads, and there was Dad. Rick was so excited that he couldn't speak for a while. God bless. Carl cried and rushed up to him. Just like that, the family embraced. Everyone was exclaiming about the magic of fate. Only Shane felt a little embarrassed. When Rick looked at him, he also barely managed to squeeze out some smiles. In the evening, everyone sat around the fire. Rick talked about what happened during this time and expressed his gratitude to Shane. Then they also mentioned Dixon. Dixon had a brother, Daryl, who was out hunting. Rick took the blame on himself and would explain the situation to Daryl tomorrow. That night, Rick and Lori were finally reunited, which made him feel incredibly comfortable. But Shane sat on the car's roof and had difficulty sleeping. The next day, Rick woke up. He had not slept so well for a long time and came out to see that everyone was busy with their business. But at that moment, Carl's screams came from the woods. The crowd rushed in with weapons, and the good thing was that the child was fine. They came closer and saw that it was a zombie eating a deer. They also do not talk nonsense and immediately begin to whack the zombie until Dale cuts off his head, only to kill him completely. They need clarification about why the zombie will run here. It is difficult now the city has no food. At this time, there was another sound from the woods. They were immediately on guard, but a man with a crossbow came out. Daryl. He was swearing right out of the gate. The zombie had contaminated the deer he had worked so hard to hunt. Obviously, this man's character is very cranky. He proposed to cut open the place where the zombie bit the deer, and the rest should be edible. But the crowd present said they were reluctant to try it for fear of being infected with the zombie virus. Because so far, they only know that the zombie bite will be infected. Who does not know if there are other ways of transmission? At this time, the zombie's head began to move again. Daryl had to send him to heaven and then taunted the crowd to kill zombies to destroy their heads. Do not know this? Rick looked at the guy in front of him, and there was no doubt that he was a real prick.